5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rangers in space!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and others to, I keep losing track of the episode number, but welcome to the number one Grey Knight Pod.
Episode 3.
I am your, this is 3?
Yep.
Okay. I'm your host, Hayden. On the other side of the world, we got Mitchell.
Yeah, guys.
And today, we have a very special guest. A lot of people know him as Zane, but I don't think that's what it says on his birth certificate. Welcome, the one, the only, the legendary Justin Nimmo.
What's up, everybody? Hello. Yeah, I'm Justin Nimmo, also known as Zane the Silver Power Ranger from Power Rangers in Space 1998. We're here to talk Power Rangers today. What have you guys got?
Well, I'll start us off with our first question.
Pulling this off.
To start us off with our first question, how did you end up getting the role of Zane?
So I was living in California, going to auditions, and my manager had sent me she sent me a page on a pager to tell me to call her. So then I called her and she said that she had an audition, give me the date, time, place, and what it was for. Power Rangers was very new. I hadn't really been watching much television just because, I was out there pursuing to become an actor, so I didn't have time to sit back and watch television. But when that came in, I told my roommate about it, and he's like, "No, don't do that. You'll be stereotyped as like an Urkel. You'll never work again." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't believe that. Like, I'm here to have, some working jobs, and this is an opportunity, so I'm going to go for the audition." So I told them yes and showed up at the audition and had a couple more auditions before they finally said, "Yeah, you got the job."
So was it Zane who you auditioned for?
I would assume, like, I don't have the parts that I read for, but it was like I don't really think that I even knew that I was going to be a Silver Power Ranger. Like, I just knew it was a part for the show. And then, when I showed up on set the first day, and it was amazing to see a giant studio. They're like, "Yeah, let's go get fitted for your suit." I was like, "What do you mean suit?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna wear a suit, so you gotta go get fitted for it." And basically, that's when they're like, "Yeah, it's the Silver Power Ranger." So it was pretty wild. It was a real fast moment in life that has lived with me forever.
That sounds so good.
All right. So my first question to follow up with that is, when they did the crossover in Lost Galaxy, you were the only one absent. What, were you not contacted? What happened there?
So I guess it has a lot to do with when they're using the story from the Sentai version, and if going into the next season there's not a character, whether it be a Power Ranger or whatever, if they don't have it in the Sentai version, they may not want it in the American version. So I assume that's what happened, because the writers did not write my part in for me to even give, yeah, I'll do that. They didn't offer anything to me. They just didn't write the part.
Did you ever get offered to come back at all for any other crossovers or events?
There was a time. I don't know exactly what year it would have been. Probably like year 10, year 15. The casting director, Iris, had messaged me and kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect it. So I, call her back and find out that she was on a cruise trying to get a hold of me to see if I would be available for an event that they had coming up. And I was like, yeah. And it got to the point, I think we had some paperwork that went back and forth, but I think the reason I got turned down was because I said that, I have to bleach my hair, and that's a real pain in the ass. So it's like, can you give me like $100 for it?
All right.
Maybe that's why they said no. I'm not real sure if it was $100 deal that broke the bank, but I didn't end up showing up. So next time, if they were to have asked again, I'm sure I would have said, yeah, you don't need to pay me to do my hair. I'll be tough.
Right.
Right.
So if Sentai footage wasn't as restrictive as it was, and you could have picked any other color for Zane to be, what do you think you would have picked?
It's kind of hard to pick a different color because I feel like that color was the right color, and I'm not going to say the best color, but the best color. You know,
Yeah, well, if
gold was
that's what you
cool.
feel is your color,
I
then
like
that's what your color is.
gold, but to say the five traditional colors, there's been a whole bunch of five traditional colors. There hasn't been very many silvers. But I mean, if I was to try to change it to a different color, um, in some way or another, make it be like a rainbow so that I would have all of the powers. I wouldn't have to switch back and forth. I just have all the powers.
Right.
That would be sixth ranger leveled up right there.
Right. Now, my next question isn't really on the terms of power, it's more about cons. I'm from Australia. I've seen that you're
Yeah,
following Oz Comic Con. Have you done an event for them before, or are you trying to come down to Australia?
I would love to go to Australia. Yeah, I had a little talks at one time about Australia, and it had something to do with a paperwork that they had to have. The person that was going to bring me had to qualify or something, almost like have a $100,000 insurance policy. I don't really remember the details on it, but because whatever they had to possess in order to get me there, they couldn't get. But that's different. That was a guy that basically has a booth at a convention and then puts the talent into the booth with him. Whereas if the convention itself reaches out to the guest, generally it's a lot easier that way. They've got all the paperwork and stuff. So if they would reach out to me, spread the word.
I will try and get them to get you. I would love to meet you in person down Australia.
Right on. That I would love to go to Australia. Yeah, that would be a dream. I know
Because
I've
we,
always wanted to go to Maine, and I actually get to go to Maine in less than a month.
Oh.
That's on the northeast side of the U.S. But so I've been on Canada, Colonia. I think that's how you say it, Kelowna. I don't remember how to say the town, but been in Canada, Singapore, London, Peru. But yeah, I'd like to go to. I'd love to go there. Yes.
yeah, because we've got with Oz Comic Con, because I'm really big into it, and I'm currently with my TikTok and all that, I'm applying to become a content creator for them and do my own booth. But a part of that is we're allowed to, as just guests in general, put in expression of interest for what celebrities would like. So I
Yeah.
will try and get you to come down.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have friends and you get your friends to do the same thing, numbers, just more of
Yeah,
the people, the better.
easy. Hayden, did you want to take the next question?
Um, so in space, they kind of had the whole relationship between Zane and Astronema. And my burning question is, after the events of the finale, when Astronema reformed back into Corone, do you think they stayed together?
So at the end of the show, when we left together, do I think they stayed together?
Yeah, like romantically wise.
I would say if the show would have ended kind of how they were thinking. In other words, they were like, "This is going to be the last of Power Rangers. So this is how it's going to go out." She wouldn't have came back by herself
Right.
if they would have known it was going to keep going. But yeah, I would have thought that if she came back and it was planned for her to come back, I also kind of feel like it wasn't really planned for her to come back. But anyways, if it would have been, yeah, I think that they would have had us as some kind of couple, and stay a couple
Right.
until they wrote us off.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, a part of In Space, we're introduced to Psycho Rangers, and you had your own Psycho Silver. Do you wish Psycho Silver was a real Psycho Ranger?
That one?
Yes,
Yep.
that one.
That one. Do I wish? No, no, I wouldn't want the Silver Psycho to actually be a Psycho because then they would have had all of the powers. You know what they were doing is they were copying the colors. You know, the Blue Psycho took the Blue
Yeah,
Ranger's power and could do all of their stuff. So I mean, if they had a Silver Psycho, then done. They would have done all of us. We would have been over.
yeah,
That is
right. Hayden, did you have your next question?
so. Trying to think. To kind of go along with the theme of it being in space, as a kid, do you remember wanting to go to space?
Yeah, I mean, we got to watch the space shuttle take off. So I mean, how awesome would that have been to be a person to go into space? I mean, still, I think it would be fun, dangerous, but you know, who's not up for a little danger every now and then?
Right.
You have once.
Exactly. If you didn't get the role for In Space, what season would you have wanted to be a part of?
I would say either the very first season or the very last season because the first season is what started it all. You know, everybody knows MMPR.
Yep.
Or the last season because, you know, that's how they closed it out. That's a big role to know that you're the ones finishing something. So, first or last season.
Right.
Do
Hayden, do
you
you have
remember?
another question?
Yeah. Do you remember after you had finished the show what it was like stepping into the scene of like interacting with fans and going out to the cons and everything?
So, it was several years later before I did a convention. I didn't know what conventions were. Chris, the Red Ranger, Andrews, he was coming to Oklahoma and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, long time no see. I'm coming to town. Do you want to hang out?" Well, yeah, cool. Let's hang out. So, you know, we're talking back and forth over a couple of weeks, and he talked me into printing off some pictures that I had. And then when I showed up, it was basically a meet and greet. So, I mean, he kind of like threw me into one of his meet and greets at a comic book store in Oklahoma. And there were people that, you know, came from Texas wearing Power Ranger outfits. So it was quite the shock to see there was a lot of fans because I thought maybe we'd show up and watch a couple of people buy some comic books and then walk out the door. So yeah, that the first one was really cool. But right after that, I think the very second one was Power Morphicon. So I mean, they broke me in real fast.
Mm.
What is your favorite quote from Zane? What's your favorite line of his?
I like the Super Silverizer myself, but everybody says let's rock it.
I feel like Let's Rocket is a bit too
There's
basic.
a lot of different quotes. I mean, it's not like he was on the show a whole bunch, so I guess each thing kind of has a big weight to it. But the one where he says something about, I don't know what you said, but you're gonna regret your words or something like that. Ring a bell?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hayden, do you have a question?
What was a scene that when filming, like it kind of cemented that it was like you knew you were right for doing that part?
Um, you know, I didn't have that feeling until the last episode, the final countdown to destruction.
Mm.
Um, that was a big deal. It was shot at, you know, in the evening. It was in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. You know, I had to shut off the roads and put up a whole bunch of background stuff. And, you know, I had family in town at that time. It was the last of the show. It was closing out. So, I mean, it was you know, a final farewell, if you will. So that's when it felt like, you know, I made it through this. I was able to finish the job and feel like, yeah, I deserved that part. I fed that part what I could. It came out the way that they wanted it, and everybody enjoyed. So yeah,
That's so good. My next question is, as going to cons, I know there's a lot of good and bad interactions, but what's your favorite interaction with a fan, if you
When
have
they're
one?
when they're speechless,
Well,
when they shake. If somebody comes up and they can't talk or they're shaking just because of the nerves and the anxiety, or they come up and they say, "Man, I have been watching you from over there, and I try to get the nerve to come up." And it's like I knew they were over there, and I knew they were building up the courage to come. So I mean, I like it when that happens. I mean, I get a lot of gifts from people when going to conventions. I'll turn the camera around, and there's a few things on this table here.
oh
Oh,
wow,
wow.
that silver and Psycho Ranger helmet is pretty cool.
Medallions.
Yeah, so I mean, I get a lot of stuff that at a convention that I like to keep and hold on to. There's stuff in the other room, there's stuff at home. It's kind of everywhere. I've been doing it for a while now. So
Yeah,
No,
it's fun.
it's
I
funny.
wouldn't be talking to you guys today if it didn't happen.
Right. No, and it's funny you bring the fans being speechless and everything because it was September of last year, I was going to Kaiju Matsuria in San Antonio and meeting Sean Johnson from Lightspeed Rescue, and he was my favorite Red Ranger of all time. So going to meet him, I was nervous
Yeah.
because I'd had bad experiences at cons. I had the last minute anxiety of, oh my God, what if he's mean? And then I get right up to the booth, and the first things out of my mouth is, just a heads up, I'm way too autistic to contain my excitement right now.
And just let him know,
And he just tells me, hey, no, there's no such thing.
right? Nice guy.
yeah.
Yes, he.
I'm glad you had a good interaction. I'm sure just about everybody that's ever met him's had a great interaction.
Hayden, did you have a question?
Before I do, I did get a thing. I don't know how many minutes ago now that the meeting will end in 10 minutes, so we should probably start wrapping up. But I guess this will be my final question here.
Yep.
If Zane could get another Zord other than the Mega Winger, what do you think it should have been?
Well, give me an A, B, or C on that one because, like, do I think he should have had one of the other Zords or just a different Zord called something else?
We'll go with one of the Zords that was actually in the show.
What was the Delta Megazord?
Yeah, that was one of them.
That'd probably be
There was
the.
there was the Mega Voyager, the Astro Megazord.
Well, I have one of those right here. The Mega Winger I have here.
Oh, nice.
The Astro Megazord was really cool. Yeah, I would pick the Astro Megazord. If you were a fish, which fish would you be?
I would be a clownfish.
Would you be Nemo?
Yes. Unintentional. Unintentional.
Anyways, for my final question, did you ever get the chance to meet Jason David Frank?
Yes. I want to say my first time was at a convention in Florida. Like I didn't meet him on the show. If I did, I don't remember. I mean, he might have came to the set, but I don't remember it. It was a convention in Florida, and I went over to his table. He had a really big line, so I just wanted to kind of scoot up to the front of his table and shake hands with him, say hi and walk away, not really get in his way or whatever. And I stood there for quite a while. I couldn't quite get up to the front of the line, but he looked up, he seen me, and he nodded his head at me. And a few more minutes later, I was like, yeah, man, I kind of got to go back to my table, right? So I went back to my table, and within 20 minutes, he was standing at my table. He goes, man, you left. I was like, what are you doing over here? You got hundreds of people standing in your line. He goes, well, yeah, but I wanted you to come over and say hi and, talk for a second. So I was like, oh, I'll be right back over there. And then, so I went back over, talked to him, and I told him that I had brought my suit. And he was next to Amy Johnson. And I said, well, tomorrow I'll wear my suit. And he's like, cool. Yeah, bring it back over. We'll take some pictures together. So right there at his booth, I took some pictures with him, and he said, "Well, go over there and say hi to Amy as well." So I went over and talked to her. But I mean, I've met. I don't know how many I haven't met, if you know what I mean. Like I've met a lot of Power
Yeah.
Rangers. So yeah, but he was really nice.
But all right, so the Zoom doesn't kick us out, and we have to pause recording. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Justin, thank you so much for taking the
Yes.
time to.
Thank you so much for responding
Right on.
to my message, being able to making it work. I went to bed that night because I messaged you at night before I went to bed because I was like to Hayden, hey, let's just message some Rangers, see what happens. And
Yeah.
I kid you not, woke up to a message from you and Philip Merrick from Wild Force.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, Hayden, I've just woken up. I've got 2 messages. We're gonna possibly have Rangers. He's like, you're joking. We're in disbelief. We're in shock. We're like getting so nervous. And like, how did we actually manage? So like, there's no way they're gonna reply to a random message off of a random person off of Instagram saying, hey, we're filming a podcast. Did you want to be on it? But we are so
happened.
thankful that you did.
Right on. Well, I'm glad to meet you both, and hopefully we'll meet in person someday.
Hopefully.
Someday.
Right on. Well, let's rock it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for
being here. As always, guys, that is another episode of the #1 Grey Knight podcast featuring Justin Nimmo today. And we'll be back with the next episode next week, talking about finally the first couple of episodes of MMPR.
All right. Until then, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
We
Then-
did it.
Hi, Justin. How you going?
We did it. I was like, why does it have to be like this?
We were just saying the same thing.
We were.
I mean, in the past, you've used it, and it's usually like you set it up, you hit the link, it opens up the app, and it says join.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Huh.
no,
Yeah,
it was a curve for me because I haven't used it since the pandemic.
Oh, yeah? Maybe I should have moved on and tried the new way that you guys were suggesting.
Nah. We want to work at what works for you.
Exactly.
It's already dark where you're at.
No, it's actually morning almost. It's 6 a.m.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm from Australia, so my times are different.
Yeah, why didn't you say that when we were talking about what time to do this?
Because I'm more than happy. Because I've got work in an hour, so I'm just fine.
So it worked out. It's before work. You didn't have to work
Yeah.
around work, I guess.
Nah,
Okay, right on.
easy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Hayden, do you want to start off with our intro?
Yeah, you got the record